All right, I do apologize for that. I was having some technical difficulties and I ended the other broadcast and had to create a new one. So I hope you guys are able to jump into this one. I'll give it a minute or so just to allow people to come in. Some of these days it's just, we just have to go with it. All right, so let's see. Again, is anybody here? For some reason, I'm unable to see the chat. Oh, I see. There we go. All right, so whoever's here, oh, yes. Okay, we're having some people come in. Again, I was having some technical difficulties, so thank you all for rejoining. Awesome. Yay. Okay. Whew. Perfect. So I see people are coming in. Please let us know where you're coming from, what it is that you're hoping to get out of today's session. Thank you for just bearing with me in terms of, these technical difficulties. I was feeling a bit flustered, but today's presentation is all about mindfulness. So what a perfect way to put that into practice while having these difficulties. So all right, so I see that you guys are here. So I see we have Arizona, Colorado. Yes, hi again. Thank you for rejoining. Orlando. Hola, Arizona. Hey, Erica, I see you. All right, California. More California. Amazing. New York. Woo woo. So today we are going to get started a little bit later. I usually start right at 5 o'clock, but because again I was having some difficulties, we're going to get started later. But typically this presentation is about 30 minutes, and I start off by introducing myself, the topic. I'll give you strategies on whatever the topic is. And then I will go into a Q&A. So I'll give you guys an opportunity to be able to ask any questions in terms of the things that I talked about. And at any point, please, I love the engagement. So continue, using the chat, saying hello, telling us where you're from, asking any questions, giving us input. This is a community of where we learn from each other. And we give each other feedback. This is a safe and inclusive space, for all of you. So I'm so happy that you're here. This is a Latina mental health series. I am your host, Norma Garcia. I've had the pleasure to be doing these presentations since May, when we launched National Latina Mental Health Awareness. And so for today's presentation, let me actually get it going because I had to start all over again. Here we go. One moment. Come on. All right. So as my presentation is loading, all right, here it is. So why don't we just get started? So today we're going to talk about mindfulness. So this is a topic that I absolutely love because it's something that's really essential in our day-to-day, life. It's something that I definitely try to encourage and empower everyone to practice. It's a way that we're able to cultivate some peace and empowerment. And be able to do this in a way, right, where we're able to be present and really get to be fulfilled in the things that we do on a day-to-day. Again, my name is Norma. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and an inner healing coach. And so for the last 10 years, I have devoted in working in different mental health agencies, providing direct mental health services to specifically the Latino community. My approach is to be culturally sensitive, trauma informed. I'm really passionate in helping and supporting first-gen professionals. And the mission of mine is to be able to continue advocating for mental health, helping us Latinas be able to break generational trauma, and also just support you in your healing journey wherever you are, whether you're just beginning, you're in the midst of it, or you've already, evolving from it as well. Awesome. So with mindfulness, right? First, I want to begin with this exercise before I go into talking about what is mindfulness. And if you guys already have an idea of what this is, I appreciate, just also giving your feedback and how, what are ways that you experience mindfulness, what ways perhaps is challenging to experience mindfulness. But we're going to begin with the exercise. Okay, so you see here, I have an image of mindful, or mindful. Okay, so I want to start off asking you some questions. So, how many of you at times find yourself, in your commute going from A to B? Once you get to your destination, you don't remember how you got there. You don't remember the details. You don't remember, you didn't pay attention. You pretty much just know you got from A to B, but everything in between, you don't remember. Okay. Are there ever times where, let's say, you're having a conversation with someone and because you're on your phone or you're doing something else, right? You're not paying attention to what the other person is saying, right? Does it ever happen that perhaps, because of just our busy schedules, right, we're eating so fast that we don't really get to savor or enjoy our meals? Do you ever find yourself, just rushing, getting to places and not really focusing on your environment or what's in front of you? Well, if you answered yes to any of these questions, that means that you are an autopilot. You are functioning, you're just kind of going with your emotions, right? You're not being present, you're not being mindful, right? Physically, your body is there, but your mind is somewhere else. So, as you can see here in the image, right, being mindful means there's a lot of things going on at once, right? And being mindful means like there's more clarity, there's peace, right? You're able to see things more clearly, and you're able to be more present. So, what is mindfulness? So, mindfulness simply is a state of awareness. It is a research based strategy. So, there's a lot of research behind it, how effective mindfulness can be. And what this means is being able to be in the present moment, being able to be in the here, in the now, right? Like right now, I'm in Los Angeles, so it's specific time. So, right now it's 5:17, right? It's Thursday, it's, June 22nd, right? That's being present, that's focusing on the present moment right now, right? Now, what I'm asking of you guys, right? Um, Before we get deeper into the conversation, right? Notice what it is that you're doing right now, right? Are you multitasking? Are you looking at your phone? Do you have the TV on, right? Pay attention to what it is that you're doing. And I invite you that whatever it is that is in front of you, that could be distraction or is taking your attention away, to put that to the side, right? And just really focus on being here, on being now, and actively listening in these next 30 minutes or so, and actively participating in the chat, and just being present and having a curious mind. Okay, so simply mindfulness is the here, the now, the present. And when you do this, you want to do this in a way that is non-judgmental, and we'll talk more about what that means and what that looks like. The idea of mindlessness, right, is a state of autopilot in which you're not paying attention. Sometimes this mindlessness can also be perceived as multitasking. And I know that we all multitask because we have a lot of things to do. There's not enough time in our day that we try to do a lot of things at the same time. But this multitasking, right, it's our attention is being put in different things that we're not fully 100 completely present in whatever it is that we're supposed to be doing. Um, with mindfulness, there are lots of benefits, right? It brings us peace. It reduces our stress. It improves our physical health. It allows us to be less reactive because we're actually paying attention, we're focusing. It also helps with our relationships, right? I don't know if there's ever times where, like, you're with your partner or you're with your friends, and perhaps in the moment it's about just eating together and you're on your phone or you're thinking about your to-do list, right? And so this practice of mindfulness is a strategy that takes practice. And the practice of mindfulness is not so much that you want to do this like with judgment. It's about like you decide whatever it is that you want to pay attention to and focusing on that. And there are going to be these distractions, or there are going to be things, whether it's like your thoughts, whether there's external things happening outside of you that are going to take you away from being in that moment. The practice of mindfulness is shifting, right? Shifting yourself back into what it is that you're intentionally wanting to be mindful about. And the beautiful thing about mindfulness is that this could be applied to anything and everything that we do. All right. So I'm seeing here in the chat that, some of the things we're mentioning is really relatable, whether it's like our commute to work, our commute home, right? And we're going to talk about different ways of how to slow down, how to be present, how to be more mindful. Sometimes we're good at it, and sometimes we forget. So I wanted to talk about, so there is this is an evidence-based model called dialectical behavioral therapy. It's a model that I use specifically with my clients. And it's a model that I wanted to also introduce just so you guys can understand the different levels of mindfulness, in which it's not just about being present. There's different ways of how to go about it. And there's different skills about how to be present and mindful. And so what Marsha Linehan, she's the one that created this evidence-based model, in which she talks about, different ways to be mindful. She talks about these like what skills, right? And the what is pretty much being able just to observe, describe, and participate. So what does that mean, right? So whatever it is that you're doing, right, you're observing, you're just sensing, you're experiencing things without putting a label. You're just kind of observing things as they are, right? The describing, right? This is not when we add the label, right? Whatever it is that we are observing, then we add a label to it. We add an emotion, we add a description, we add an adjective, right? So the observing just being as is, right? Like I'm here present with you all, right? The description is that I'm here, present, and I am talking, I'm being interactive, I appear like I'm in a good mood, right? And then participating is when you actually put yourself completely, entirely, wholly in that experience, whatever it is that you're doing. So again, observing, describing, and participating, all of these three things are ways of being mindful. The next part is how. How do we do this? How do we observe? How do we describe our experiences? And then how do we engage fully in our experiences? Okay, so the way that we do this is that you want to focus on one thing at a time, right? In order to be present, in order to fully experience something, you really have to put yourself 100%. And this right here is where it becomes challenging because, again, there's going to be distraction. There's going to be thoughts coming through your head. There's going to be a lot of things going on, right? And you slowing it down and doing one thing at a time, right? So when you're supposed to be eating, you're just eating. When you're supposed to be focusing, you're just supposed to be focusing. When you're driving, you're just supposed to be driving, right? And it's also about being effective, right? That when we do this, right, we want to let go of being right or wrong. This is just kind of you're experiencing things as is, right? Without any judgment, right? Whether it was good or bad, right? Even when let's say there's thoughts coming to our mind that are negative or they're not helpful, instead of judging ourselves and be like, oh, I can't believe like I'm thinking that way. Oh, that's negative, right? It's just about, okay, this thought is coming in, I'm acknowledging it, and then I shift back to what it is that I'm focusing on. And then the last part is wise, right? As we are practicing mindfulness, we want to be wise in the things that we're doing, the things that we're participating. And what this means is that next I'm going to show you a diagram where we have a rational, wise, and emotional mind. So the same, Marsha Linehan, who came up with the dialectical behavior therapy, came up with this framework that we have three states of mind. We have a rational mind. Rational means that, the laws, the logic, right? Things have to make sense logically using facts, using, research, right? And then we have the emotional, right? Which is all about your emotions, right? The way that you feel, that's the way that you're going to react, right? And so the wise mind is a combination of both. As you see, right, the wise mind kind of captures both, where you want to have a bit of rational and you want to have a bit of emotional. You don't want to be too rational because, again, we're not robots. Having our emotions are good. But you don't want to be just emotional because then you just don't want to react just based on your emotion. So the wise mind combines both, in which this is kind of like your intuition. This is what kind of is like the aha moment that makes sense. And the wise mind, we all have it. We all have the wise mind. we all have an intuition. Is just that sometimes it's hard to listen to it because of just, many different factors that are going on. And so when we practice being mindful, right, we're also making these wise decisions about what it is that, what direction we want to go. What is it that we will want to focus on? What is it that works for us and doesn't work for us? Any questions about this, please, put them in the chat. If you want me to describe, more examples, if you wanted to expand more on it, I'm more than happy to. But essentially going back to here, right? So in mindfulness, again, it's about being able to just observe, describe, and participate fully in your experiences, doing one thing at a time, and using your intuition, right, to be able to focus on being present and mindful. And so, as we get into thinking about like how it is that we practice mindfulness, I want to differentiate that there's two different types of meditation, right? Mindfulness is a form of meditation, right, where we do slow it down, we do pay attention to specific things. But there's two types of meditation here. There's a traditional, right, the traditional meditation where like you think of like you sit calmly, either put some music on or like do some kind of meditation that guides you through some kind of like exercise of visual imagery or something where you pay attention to your body, you're paying attention to your breath, you really like slow down your body, right? Then there's the other kind of meditation that's considered activity meditation. This is the thing that you do every day, right? This is where you pay attention to like your day-to-day activities, again, whether you're eating, you're walking, you're talking, you're somewhere, you're at a concert, you're at a meeting, you're in a class, right? Where it's not that meditation where you have to sit down, close your eyes, and have that moment, but it's about still being present in whatever it is that you're doing. So now that I've mentioned that, I'm curious to know, how have you guys been experiencing mindfulness? How do you guys practice mindfulness? What do you do? What are some things that are easier for you to be present in, and what are some things that perhaps are more difficult? If anyone is wanting to share their experience with mindfulness, how it is that they practice it, and then we can get into the different strategies of like how to practice mindfulness. So let me just look over the chat here. All right, so the driving is relatable. It happens frequently because I have too many things on my mind. Yes. And the hardest part with mindfulness is our mind, right? Because our mind is always active. Our mind is always, whether again it's our to-do list, whether it's our responsibilities, whether we have worries, whether it's we have things to get done, right? And the mindfulness too is a practice to get out of your head and also to quiet your mind. All right. So let's go into specific mindfulness exercises and strategies that we can do. The chats are barely coming in through, so let me just go through these comments real quick. So when I start racing, I have to literally say, stop, what's going around you? Awesome. So in that moment, right, you're noticing that your mind is active, right? Or whatever is going on, you have to sometimes you have to just check yourself, like stop, hold on, wait around, observe what is happening. Very good. Let's see. I make sure no one uses electronics at the dinner table. Beautiful. So we communicate as a family. Yes. And electronics are the biggest, distraction and thing that preoccupies most of our time. So I love it, at moments, even just taking breaks from social media, taking breaks from our phones, right? So that way we can really enjoy whatever it is that we're doing at that moment. Someone else put being in nature, pay attention to the things I don't always notice. Yes, absolutely. Sometimes I know I've gone to this, to the same place over and over again. And because usually when I'm walking to that place, I don't pay attention to what's around me. It could be because either I'm on my phone or I'm talking or something. And then one day I noticed oh my gosh, I never noticed that thing was there, right? And because I'm not being present in terms of my surroundings. Right now, I put aside the report I was reading and sitting by the window, getting some sunny D. It's helping me focus. Beautiful. Love, love, love that. And again, the mindfulness is just shifting your attention, right? It's not about being judgmental or being hard on yourself or criticizing yourself for not doing it right. It's about just acknowledging what is happening and bringing yourself to that moment. In my calendar, I block focus time. Love that. I force myself to see what I'm snacking on when I'm stressed and put it away. Absolutely. We got to also pay attention to what's happening to our bodies. What are our needs, right? And what's the function behind the reasons that we're doing things? It's a concept of the squirrel getting easily distracted by the next 10 things I need to accomplish. Absolutely. Yes. Actively prepare my mind of the task at hand. If I'm in a meeting, I prepare by knowing who my audience will be. Absolutely, yes. Floating in the pool helps. Oh, I love that. I wish I could be in the pool right now. I try to relax, even though my brain is still going, know that I can't fix it right now. Yes. All beautiful, beautiful comments and ways that you guys are practicing, mindfulness. And with today, even if it's just a reminder, right, of the importance of being present, being mindful, being grounded, if that's all it is for today and you being here, that to me is a huge win. Because, yeah, mindfulness is something that we have to practice every single day. And the more that we practice it, the more that we're going to better be able to check ourselves, focus, and shift. So, and the great thing about mindfulness, right? It doesn't have to be like a lengthy thing, right? Yes, there are things that perhaps require more, like if you're in a meeting, if you're in a presentation, if you're having dinner, right? That's like a lengthier time that it's going to require of you constantly, reshifting and grounding yourself in the moment. But the beautiful thing about this is that sometimes these exercises can be done in a minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes, right? Because again, mindfulness can be applied to everything, right? So even just thinking about like when we wake up, right? Having a mindful wake up, mindful morning, right? You wake up, right? Even thinking about what right now, like when you wake up, what is the first thing that you do, right? I'm guilty. I will say sometimes the first thing I do, right, is I get on my phone. And so, though that is what I'm focusing on and I'm able to be present in my phone, right, I also need to check in with myself and figure out what is it that I need in the morning, right? And so, a mindful wake up is being able to start your morning with a purpose, right? Being able to get out of bed, you sit comfortably, you sit in a chair, or you stay on your bed, or you lay in your bed for like a few minutes, and then all you focus on is taking some deep breaths, right? Focusing on your breathing, right? And as you're doing that, also, setting your intention, what are your intentions for your day? What are you hoping to accomplish, for your day? And doing this, even if it's just a minute or 2 or 5 minutes, however time you have, right? It can really make the difference in how the rest of your day is going to be because already you're being intentional, you're being mindful. Um, Other things you can do too, right, is like mindful eating, right? I know I'm guilty sometimes of like, I'm on my phone, I'm eating, and I'm watching a show, right? And although I can do it all, I'm not focusing on like what I'm eating, right? So mindful eating is really also slowing it down, like, and just when you're eating, you're just eating, right? And as you're doing that, right, you're using your senses, like you're tasting the flavors, right? Like how does the first bite feel, what are the textures, what happens when that food goes into your mouth, right? Really savoring whatever it is that we're eating, right? Mindful driving, right? So some of us, especially if we have long commutes, right, whether it's in the mornings or the afternoons, right, the driving can stress us out if there's traffic, if let's say you got to get somewhere, right? So really being intentional and mindful about your driving, right? So preparing yourself like, okay, like I'm going to my car. I know I have, an hour long drive. Wow, this drive, like what can I do to be present, right? But it's also being present and paying attention to your surroundings, right? Making sure that you're paying attention to other cars, you're paying attention, whether there's traffic or not, because a lot of the times, when there's accidents is because there's a moment of mindfulness, right? It just takes one moment where you get distracted, you start thinking about things, you're daydreaming, right? And you may be driving fine, but someone else may not, right? So being able to take deep breaths while you're in the car, putting music on, putting a podcast, right? Doing something that as you're driving, right? And just focusing on one thing, but still being intentional about paying attention that you're driving, right? So that way when you get to your destination, you get there with calmness. Um, the last one on this is mindful body scan, right? So our body communicates our emotions, right? Our body tells us, right, what it is that's going on. So we need to pay attention to what our body needs, and doing a body scan can give us that. So what I like to do with the body scan is paying attention to your different muscles, right, like from head to toe. Noticing where you're tense, noticing where you have aches and pain, if there's anxiety, if there's sadness, whatever emotion is going on, doing that body scan. And one way that you do it is that, you kind of like you tense your muscles and then you relax them. And you do this with all your body parts. Like you start with your feet, you scrunch your toes, then you go to your thighs, then you squeeze you even like your buttocks, your stomach, like all the different areas that you have muscle. And all you do is you just relax, you just tense them, and you notice you relax them, you notice the tension going away. And sometimes just paying attention to the different areas of your body and just giving it that attention will help also release some of that, tension. All right. Any questions so far? So yeah, so being able, I saw that someone put that they carry their stress in their lower back. Yeah. So being able, to be mindful of your body, right? What is your body telling you? And being able to attend to that and make sure that you are also taking care of like your physical body. All right. So other additional exercises that you can do. And again, these could just be like, a few minutes. Mindful breathing, right? Breathing is the number one best strategy that helps with everything, right? Especially because when we're anxious, when something scary happens, right? Our body reacts. Our body goes into this like fight or flight, response. And so being able to slow our body down, and we do that by taking deep breaths. We all breathe. We breathe all the time, but breathing in itself is a technique. There's different techniques of how to breathe. The one here, it's called the 4-7-8, in which again you sit yourself, so maybe we can do this right now. Everyone that's in here, make sure that you're in a comfortable, position. Make sure your feet are grounded to the floor. Whether you're lying down, sitting down, just sit comfortably. Maybe put your hands like on your lap or just on the side. And just, for the next, few seconds, just with me, take a deep breath. So we're going to take a deep breath and we're going to hold it for 4 seconds. And then we're going to breathe in for 4 seconds. Then we're going to hold the breath for 7 seconds. And then we're going to let it out slowly for 8 seconds. So we'll try that together right now. So everyone here in the room, let's take a deep breath. I'm going to hold it for 7 seconds. And I'm going to let it out slowly. So let's try that again. So let's take a deep breath for 4 seconds. Hold it for 7. And breathe it out slowly. And doing it as many times as you need to, right? And as you notice here, the once you release and exhale that breath, it's a lot slower than when you inhale and when you hold it. So I know for me, like even just doing that, like I'm already, feeling a bit like loose. So if any of you need to continue taking some deep breaths, I encourage you, to do so. It really helps us to relax the tension in our bodies. Mindful walking, right? Whenever you go on a walk or you exercise, being able to notice what you're doing, noticing that you're taking one step forward, right? Noticing, your surroundings, noticing your breath. As I mentioned, also like mindful listening, right? Whenever you're having conversations, make sure that you're being present, that you're listening, right? And that you're showing the other person that you're listening. Mindful listening can be, also like what you're mindfully, wanting to pay attention to. Like if it's like, let's say you're going to listen to a podcast, right? That you make sure that you're actively listening to the podcast. Today, all of you, I'm hoping that you're mindfully listening, right? So again, even right now, you guys are already putting that into practice. And then the last one here is the grounding exercise, which is also one of my favorites, in which, we have 5 senses, right? Sense of oops, sense of touch, smell, sound, hear, and taste, right? And so the way that you do this exercise is, again, you can do this anywhere, anytime, whether you're walking, whether you're sitting, whether, you're in the car, right? Using your senses to describe things. What is it that you see, right? Name the things that you see, whether it's colors, whether it's objects, whether it's, words. Being able to also, if there are things you can touch, right, like making sure you touch things, temperature, what does it feel like, what is the texture, smell, right, what can you smell, and if ever there isn't anything that you can't smell, right, imagine what is your favorite smell, right? I know for me, waking up in the morning and smelling some coffee already, like, that's an instant like release, right? Tasting, right? If there's something that you can taste in that moment, describe it. What does it taste like? What does it feel like? And if not, again, imagining something that you enjoy to taste, and then obviously sound, right? Like paying attention, describing whatever sounds you hear around you. All right. So with that said, I know these were a lot of different strategies, and there's so many, many more. There's obviously, the traditional meditation, and where, you put a meditation on and you focus on your breathing, you slow it down. Some meditations, guide you through certain things, whether it's like compassion, whether it's like reducing your anxiety. There's so many different ways that you can practice mindfulness, whether it's on your daily activities or whether it's an actual like sit down meditation that you focus and allow yourself, to really, slow it down. So, so now we're coming to the end, wondering if any of you have any questions. This is the time to ask any clarification, any questions, anything that you want me to elaborate on. I know already that you guys are already doing this skill. It's just a matter of continuing, to work on it. Notice, when is it that it's hard for you to be present and making sure that your needs are being met. And, when you are being present, right, do commend yourself and praise yourself, for doing that. Remember, mindfulness is about the practice, right? And we all have the capacity, to be present, to be mindful. We all may have, different difficulties in terms of whether we have, we have attention span, or whether, we have difficulty with like focusing, or we have intense emotions that are making it really difficult, to be present and mindful. But it is a practice that we can all, always, improve on and work on. So let's see if anyone has any questions. Anything that anyone is taking away from today, or that is excited to start putting into practice, whether it's right now as soon as you get off, the webinar, something that you're going to do later, whether it's with yourself, with family, with friends. So I'm just looking over the comments. So the 4-7-1 is epic. Felt it release after 4 rounds. Amazing. Yes. And you could take as many rounds. It could be 4 rounds. It could be 10 rounds, right? You need to listen to whatever it is that you need. And mindfulness is going to look very different for everybody, and just thinking about like, why is it important to be mindful, right? How is it being mindful going to help me in terms of my physical health, my emotional health, my mental health, right? These are amazing tools and activities. We'll definitely practice this. Thank you. Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you all for bearing with me. At the start of this, I literally like panicked. I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening? But it was just, this just tested me to be patient, be present, be mindful. And I'm glad that all of you who were in here were able to jump right in and, hopefully get very informative, information for you. Let's see. I'm going to let the sunshine hit me more with working remotely. I forget to get out. Yes. And even just sometimes, getting out of your seat, right? Going for a walk, right? Taking a break. I am known for multitasking. I'm going to start pausing more, not doing more than one. Beautiful, Marina. Yes. And, I'm not saying that multitasking is not good. Like sometimes we need to do it, right? Like there's no way around it, but when we can, when there's room for it, being able to just pause and do one thing at a time, because that is what is going to allow us to be less stressed, right? And reactive. Let's see. Yes, I do have an Instagram. So I will put my handle in the chat for any of you that would like to also follow my Instagram page. And then any other questions that you have here, I'll make sure that I'll respond within the next 24 hours. I like to practice a mindful minute where I do exactly that practice and done in a breathing to level to set my intentions. Beautiful. Yes. Again, a minute, right? All you need is a minute to do whatever it is that you want to be, mindful about. And sometimes it's just about creating that space and that time. Let's see what else. Phenomenal information. Greatly appreciate it. You're very welcome. Awesome. Well, thank you all again. Next week, we will be talking about mind-body connection and wellness. So this one's also going to be really good. It goes hand in hand in terms of mindfulness, right? Where we're paying attention, how our mind, right, our thoughts, right, our thinking, how that is connected to our body, how they both influence each other, and how can we work on improving our overall well-being and knowing that there's connections, right? That they're not two separate things, that they're connected and they influence each other, and that we need to pay attention and take care of both things. All right. Yes. Well, thank you all. I really enjoyed, sharing this space with you. And for those of you, if this was your first time, I'm so happy that you're here and welcome. I do this every Thursdays at 5 p.m. I do create different topics on just anything mental health related. So if there's anything that you want me to present on, please also, you can put that in the chat. I know that I took a poll a few weeks ago, and there's going to be a presentation on self-doubt and increasing our confidence, and a bunch of other, good stuff. So make sure that you let me know what it is that you want, and I will make a presentation for you. So, alrighty, well, you guys have a beautiful evening. Enjoy. It's summertime. The sun is out. Stay hydrated. Get your vitamin D. And remember to practice mindfulness at everything that you do. Alrighty, well, you guys have a wonderful night. Take care.